because ever since I have known Dr. Finkelstein, I've always wanted to know firsthand, because I'm like probably the biggest fan of this guy and the way he's actually placed himself in the whole arena of what's going on there, but and the kind of problems he's gone through. I just wanted to know, would anyone go through the kind of problems Norman went through as a professor? Oh, he ultimately did become a professor, right? As an academic, talking about Israel, do you think any man would just go through that, or maybe he went a little too out of bounds at some level, or you think he just got unlucky?
Norman Finkelstein?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to know if any man in his shoes would have gotten through the kind of problems that he went through.
What kind of problems?
Well, in his professorship, in his the kind of the way people dealt with him, especially Dershowitz and the whole clan, and
I mean, he wrote a book in which he showed that Dershowitz's claims about Israel were completely false, mostly fabrications, other
of John Peterson, yeah.
apologetics for atrocities.
Mhm.
Dershowitz understood that he couldn't possibly answer, so he turned to try to destroy the book. First, he threatened the publisher. It was a small publisher. Threatened the publishers with all kind of lawsuits, down to the level of writing to assistants who were working there, saying big law firms would attack them and so on. And finally, the publisher withdrew. It couldn't withstand all these attacks.
Mhm.
So on my suggestion, Finkelstein sent the book to a larger publisher, the University of California Press.
Mhm.
And Dershowitz tried very hard to get the University of California to even approached the governor of California to
Yeah.
try to get him to intercede to suppress the book. Well, they didn't back down. They said, we don't care about your threats. And so they published the book, at which point Dershowitz shifted to trying to destroy Finkelstein.
Mhm.
He was approved for tenure at his university.
Yeah.
Dershowitz launched a huge campaign to the trustees, to the faculty, to get them to deny him his tenure, and all kind of threats and inducements. All of this is in an effort just to prevent the book from appearing and exposing him what he had done. Well, he did succeed in blocking the tenure promotion.
Yeah,
So
that's yeah, but on the flip
Finkelstein,
side, actually, that put actually Norman on a very globally a way bigger figure than he could have been if Dershowitz was not there. It was like a silver lining in all of that. You know what? I actually was always figuring out because as the Pakistani youth and a lot of people actually I've actually spoken to in Toronto. I used to live in Toronto, and they actually used to just throw in the Jewish card that this is what the Dershowitz just lobbying, and he's just pro-Israel and all of that. And I was thinking maybe it's not all of that. Maybe it's just pure narcissism on one man's part. Maybe it has nothing to do with the Jewish lobby or a vested interest or a behind the camera some sort of a bigger game. Maybe it's just a man-to-man thing. Maybe Dershowitz was just a classic narcissist who.
it's basically personal.
Uh-huh.
Dershowitz doesn't want to be exposed as a fraud and a liar. He's very, he even writes books defending himself from somebody's criticism. He's, I wouldn't say, I don't know if it's narcissism. He's trying to establish himself. He's a media personality, a Harvard professor of law, presents himself as a very distinguished figure, doesn't want to be exposed. But of course, he's an extreme apologist for Israel,
Israel.
just
Yeah.
extraordinary. So it's a mixture, but it's not Jewish backed, it's him.
Mm-hmm. But I never understood is that whenever there is a left-wing Jewish lawyer or any statesman, they're way more into the Israel game than the right-wingers that you see. It's kind of a surprising that these people don't really claim to know the religious doctrine and have never read the Torah. They do not really know the first thing about the reason why the Orthodox Jew would want Israel, but they're way more passionate about the game of Israel or the state of Israel.
He himself has a fairly intense Jewish background. I think he probably went to yeshiva, but I don't know what's the difference really. This is a single person who's a grotesque apologist for Israel, very concerned with his own position and image. He likes to present himself as a great civil libertarian who's fighting the battle of justice and freedom. And he, as I say, he has a media image of that kind. He's invited to national public radio to talk about civil rights issues, and he just simply doesn't want to be exposed as a liar and a fraud and a vulgar apologist for crimes. That's all that's involved. He happens to be effective because he has resources, threats that he can impose and so on. But I don't think he deserves this much attention, frankly.